game in the series.
Indeed, Vortix at match point, jumping into game number 6, one win away from qualifying to the Heidelberg LAN.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 6 in your grand final series. This is a best of 7, and we are on match point. Vortix, who spawns in on the south side of the map in the color blue, playing as the Abbasid Dynasty, is on match point.
On the other side, Hut down one game for the first time in this series against an opponent who he has never beaten before in competitive Age of Empires 4. He has been leading ever since game number 1, or the score was tied, but never was he behind one game compared to his opponent. This time around, as you said, it is match point for Vortix. He's one game away from qualifying to the Heidelberg LAN.
Now, something interesting to note is that not only do we have a pretty rare matchup, I say rare matchup, it's not rare at all, but we've got a very rare biome on this map. You don't actually get this on the ladder. I don't think it actually ever will spawn Altai with a desert biome. This is something special for us here on EGCTV. We get the desert biome today. It looks a little bit different though. What kind of feel do you have when you're looking at the biome of this map? You thinking maybe like a dry Arabia kind of vibe?
Yeah, I kind of feel like that. Honestly, I don't really have the desert vibe on this. Like, if I wanted to have desert vibes, I would like to see maybe more on the palm tree side of things, maybe tiny little ponds without fish for the aesthetics, you know, like the Oasis style. That's what I think about deserts. This feels more like a super dry Europe.
Yeah, I can see that. It definitely does. It's like a European drought. Rest in peace, Europe. Hope you guys are doing well over there. Time's getting tough, that's for sure. But, I mean, let's focus a little bit more on this game. Double scout opening for both of these guys. That's pretty much standard in this matchup. I'm curious to see where Hut goes from this, though, because he's got a number of options. Number 1, obviously the Archon Chapel. Number 2 is the Minework Palace. Now, I suspect he wants to win this game, so he's probably going to be going for the Archon Chapel. Let's take a look at his base and see what options he's got for where he wants to place this bad boy down.
Oh, my favorite part is coming in, raiding Archon Chapels. There it is. Not spectacular, I must say.
Hold on a minute. I would disagree. I think he's got a real juicer right next to the town center, front right side of the town center. If he drops that down, he'll hit the berries, the wood line, and then he can push his deer towards the Archon Chapel. Let's look to see if he does this. Because if he does, this is what would be called, or what would be known as the Mega Juicer. No, he doesn't go for the Mega Juicer. He's just going to go with, I'm going to give this one a 2 out of 10. This is a gold mine, and that's it. There's nothing, is there?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, and this is one of the interesting points that many players consider when placing the Archon Chapel, is that, sure thing, you're boosting your gold, which gives you a pretty decent advantage at the beginning, but what's going to be your primary source of gold going forward as the HRE? Ideally, relics, right? Even in this new meta, you're going to be reliant very heavily on the relics. So boosting your own gold mine at the beginning is something nice, but in the long run, it doesn't pay that much, whereas being placed right next to like the heart of your food eco is something that could pay off a lot better.
Oh, Vortix, raining on the parade of Hut. Hut just trying to push the deer and having a nice little time emulating Wham, emulating Puppy Paw. And Vortix is like, no. And he says no multiple times. It is a definite no. Like, you know, for me as a father, one thing I'm going to have to teach my child is about no. Vortix right now, he is looking to emulate that as well, teaching Hut about yes and definitely about no.
I mean, right now he's kind of teaching him about the maybe, because it looks like he left a couple of deer alive out there, but he's coming back to harass. So, yeah, he's swinging in between the maybe and the no, you know. You get the feel that the kid goes up to mom and mom says yes, and then dad says no, and the kid is like in between, okay, what do I do now?
Whereas in this case, Vortix, unfortunately, is the mum both times, and he says no. Now, one of the interesting things to note is, have a look at what Hut has done. He's got himself a little bit of a stone gathering going on over here. So, indeed, as I alluded to before the game began, we may indeed see a second town center coming out from Hut here today.
Indeed. We have seen an emergence of 2TC HRE builds recently. Initially pioneered on Lipony by Lucifron back, I think, in the Golden League days. And as you said, with the nerf topaz of Schwabia coming and also you being very exposed if you try to play fast Imperial, there's definitely a safety element in playing a 2TC HRE. The thing that gets me hyped about this is that this also carries in itself a possibility for us to see the other Imperial Age landmark, the one that I even forgot the name of, the Elsbach Palace, that is.
Elsbach.
Because if you are up to 90, 95 villagers by the time you go up to Imperial thanks to 2 TCs, you might as well go with the alternative landmark, the Asbach Palace.
Yeah, but I think that starts to beg the question, you know, do you really want to be playing the Holy Roman Empire against the Abbasid dynasty in Imperial Age?
No.
Because the Camel Archers are just so damn strong. How do you deal with these units? Like, obviously, you know, the correct answer is Horsemen, Mangonels, but you don't really have anything that's helping you out against them, and Camel Archers are just so damn good in the Imperial Age. I feel like taking it late is just, it almost feels dangerous.
It is massively dangerous. The thing is that HRE have good timings all across the game because they have such a powerful economy. But the Abbasses, they really come online once you go late game. A shocking stat is that beyond 25 minutes in the rank ladder, they stand at a 62% win rate overall, the best among all civilizations at any period in a game. So Abbasids going late game is one of the most lethal things that you can face, whereas for HRE, they are really good at reaching Imperial, but as I always say, congrats, you reached Imperial, but it's not like you have any special combat-related bonuses late Imperial that would at least be a good match against what the other civilizations are getting late game.
Now, one thing I would love to see out of Vortix, I don't know whether, oh, sorry, out of Hut, I don't know whether we're going to see it. It would be 2 TC into a Burgrave. The idea here is that you just go Burgrave and just go absolutely ham on units. And it would be just about killing your enemy before they really got the chance to expand or to really do too much. But he's found out, look at this little outpost attempt here with the villagers. It gets spotted by Hut. Not going to be successful. A little bit of a scout attack on the other side as well. Got to be careful. The town center does manage to take it out. Second town center coming down for Vortix. Doesn't look like he's going to be going for any more at this point in time. But obviously scouts out the second TC from Hut.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Burgrave Pass assessment, because the thing is that if you have a good eco with the HRE and you are going to have a good eco with the 2 TCs, the Burgrave Pass can pay for itself. Usually the problem with that landmark is that your production is going to be so fast that you can't really produce or gather enough resources to mass produce the infantry. You just have a lot of idle time on a building. But if you are backing this up with a 2 TC build and a powerful economy of like 50, 55 villagers, then you might be able to mass produce from the Burgrave Pass much more efficiently without essentially any notable idle time. And if you can do that, you can easily swarm the Abbasid player. And as you said, Camel Archers are a great way to deal with HRE in the long run. But Camel Archers, their biggest weakness is the fact that they train so damn slow.
Yeah, that's a big thing that can really, really hurt them because, sure, you know, you might have 2 or 3 archery ranges, but as you mentioned, it's the train time that really hurts them. But now we also see Vortix going to be dropping down a stable. He's got 3 horsemen in queue. So it's also going to be a barracks coming out for him. So everything at this point in time looking good for Hut to be going into that Burgrave. So we'll look to see whether he does or whether he goes into a Regnitz. Regnitz going to be a bit dangerous, though, it feels like. Especially if you're going the second TC. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense just because you're not going to be relying too heavily on those relics. Of course, it's nice to have them. Of course, it's nice to have the extra gold income, but it's not like you're going to be needing them to really kickstart your economy.
Yeah, it's an interesting point indeed. It remains to be seen whether he goes for a Regnitz. As you said, you don't really want to drag this matchup out long, so you definitely see a pretty decent benefit in going Burgrave. And even if you can't finish the game at like the early Castle Age period, if you can do sufficient damage to Vortix so that you play from an advantage, you are fine dragging the game out. You just want to don't drag out the game on an equal footing. That's what you want to accomplish, and the Burgrave might give you something like that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, but he's now working pretty well towards that age up. We also see Vortix doing the same thing. The key difference here is obviously going to be in the timings of the units. And I'm curious what direction Hut would go with regard to those units. Do you think a larger focus on Spearmen is going to be important here, or do you think just going full man-at-arms is the way to go?
I think he can mix in a couple of Spearmen initially, but he could just go full man-at-arms. He would have a tech advantage, and keep in mind, Abbasids take a lot of time to get to Castle Age, so despite the fact that Vortix is also piling up resources, it's gonna be a steady 150 or 145 precisely for him to wait. So initially, I think he could possibly struggle to deal with the men-at-arms. At one point, I would love to see Landsknechte though, because Vortix is going to reach Castle Age, and he's going to be able to pivot to Crossbowmen, and there it is, Burgrave Palace coming in for Hut. Remains to be seen whether Vortix will see that in time.
Yeah, and look at this. This is beautiful. So Vortix attempting to wall in the relics, or not attempting to, but is intending, rather, to wall in the relics. And this is a big thing because obviously it denies it away from his enemy. And we see him walling up in the center. But it also says that Vortix is not expecting the Burgrave. He's expecting that there's going to be a heavy reliance here on picking up those relics. So it's not necessarily that he's investing resources into those walls, but rather his mindset is more focused on an enemy who is thinking about a potential Imperial Age.
And as you pointed out, the Abbasids are more than fine dragging this game out, so he's got the long-term goals on the horizon for him. He knows that if he denies the relics and possibly even him himself picks them up, he's going to set himself up well long-term, and that's his game plan right now. So, yeah, indeed, rolling in those relics, it's going to be a bit of an investment with the villager walking time and the wood invested, but it's going to set you up much better late game than just leaving those relics alone and possibly risking your opponent picking up 4 or even 5 of those.
Yeah, really good point. And just being annoying like that is it's a pretty smart investment for him to do. My fear is just going to be that whether he looks to commit heavily to this this mindset though that he may not do it. But now begins to spot the units coming out across the map, looking to actually siege down these walls here and try and break in and take these relics for himself. We hear the units getting picked off now. Things looking good as Hut opens with heavy men-at-arms presence on the field.
This is something that's spotted by Vortix immediately though, so he should know that he has to go immediately towards crossbowmen. And those men-at-arms, they are still lacking the costly age upgrades, they're also lacking marching drills, so they're not very well upgraded just yet, giving a little bit more time for Vortix to diversify his comp against this, but not a single range being dropped, so it might just be his own men-at-arms for the time being and lancers, but that's just a temporary solution.
Yeah, I get scared when I see Lancers because I'm like, well, this is such an easy counter, especially for the Holy Roman Empire. As soon as they see, 4 or 5 Lancers come out, it's just a matter of making sure you've got enough spearmen to deal with it. But now we also see a Moss coming out. The Wololo going to be coming off. Doesn't look like it will be successful. I take that back. I take that back very, very quickly as the Wololo is indeed able to get off. The unit's going to have to fall back. He's too scared to fight it out, and the men-at-arms looking to try and defend. Prelate just an absolute Giga Chad right now. Look at him go. He's like a rugby player just pushing through the field. Out of the scrum, unfortunately, does go down on the 30-meter line. Unfortunately, not going to be able to score the try today, but hey, pretty decent effort from him.
Yeah, really good effort out there, and really good effort from Hut to shield that Prelate away from the aggression as much as possible. At least Vortix had to pay a high price for killing that Prelate, so that's definitely on the side of Hut. And now look at this, 22 army against 10. This is the window that he has been waiting for, and as he said, Lancers, it's not going to be a solution. He needs crossbows above all, but he's just now starting to make those archer ranges, and the timing here could be perfect. A lot of damage could be done by those men-at-arms.
Yeah, well, keep in mind the +1 ranged armor is coming through, or rather has already come through. He's also got +2 ranged armor for good measure. Why the hell not? And now going to be able to head underneath the town center, taking 1 range damage every attack, and he's going to be idling all of those villages. He's got 15 idols at the moment. All the rest of them are just running around. He's trying his best to keep his head above water, but he's going to be struggling with regard to wood. He's got 700 in the bank, so he's got a little barrier to keep himself out there. But we hear relics being picked up. It's Hut picking up 2 more relics on top of the one that he's already got in the bag. And now continuing to idle out these villages. Things not looking good at the moment for Vortix.
The keyword is momentum. That's what you leverage with the Burgrave Palace. Just swarm your opponent and have his entire eco idle. And the magical thing for Hut in this one is that he's not behind an eco either because he's playing 2 TCs. Ecos are dead even, but he's idling half of what Vortix has while also picking up the relics behind this one. He's setting himself up so well in this. He still needs to do a little bit more damage because he's yet to start killing villagers in large numbers, but he's doing a tremendous amount of damage to his opponent's eco when it comes to idle time.
Yeah, we can see the crossbow mass starting to build. The composition that Vortix is running is the perfect combo in this game. He's got the crossbows as well as knights, and now that gold mine going to be running out. Villagers move on to greener pastures or golder fields, potentially. The villagers do eventually make their way out. The Wololo coming in on the south side. It's going to be from Hut. He's managed to pick up this relic. Unfortunately, doesn't pick up the successful Wololo, though.
Yeah, that relic is likely gonna get denied for the time being here. Harassment for Vortix getting cleaned up over there. He's got the mobility advantage with the Lancers, and he keeps trickling those in to the base of the opponent. But slowly walls are coming up for Hut, and that should prevent those knights from doing significant damage. As I'm saying, that villagers on the board could be found.
They make a run for it towards the north. Let's see if they get found out. Fortunately, they do run in the right direction and escape those Lancers for the time being.
Indeed, that is key.
Who was that?
Yeah.
Did you see that? Was that two prelates holding relics standing next to each other, like best friends? Can we get a look at that? Hold on, in the base. No, in the base of Hut, there were two prelates just being. Yeah, look, it's the two best friends. Well, look at them go. They're just chilling out for the moment. Look, we will deposit the relics when we are good and when we are ready. All right, and until then, you just mind your own business. All right.
Yeah, I can hear them whispering, just like, dude, where are we supposed to do these? Where are we dropping these? I don't know.
We hold them. We hold them and we wait for the AoE buff that's going to happen in like 4 patches. They're going to make it so that, this is my theory, right? They're just going to make it so that the relic has a cool buff that it applies. Instead of like the Wololo, you do like a friendly Wololo and it buffs up everything. It's like a giant inspiration. That's what they're waiting for. It's a long wait.
The thing is that Microsoft is hiring game designers for the H titles. I wouldn't recommend you to be one, though. I'm sorry.
What? You don't like the idea of plus 50% health for 6 seconds? It's like a Mongol Khan on steroids.
That's what I'm afraid of, too. Looks like they finally find a spot for those relics to be deposited, but Hut, momentum definitely slowed down, and if you take a look at Vortix, he's stabilizing, now dropping an aggressive keep over here, has the crossbows to deal with the men-at-arms, and looking at Hut, he never deviated from the men-at-arms, yet to find an answer to the mass crossbows.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting outcome if he continues just making or rather keeps making men-at-arms when his enemy's making quite literally lances and crossbows. So a very effective counter for him. But I guess now that the game has stabilized and Vortix is A-OK, what is Hut's win condition? Because I'll be honest, I don't see it.
Me neither. The problem is that, as we talked about this one, Abacids really start coming online at the 17-18 minute mark, and the Burgrave Palace was supposed to give you some sort of an advantage. As we discussed, you don't want to go late game at an equal footing. If you are ahead as the HRE, you're fine going late game, but he's not ahead. In fact, he's slowly falling behind. He's gonna be at 3 relics, sure thing, but he has a keep right in his face, and you get the feel that that second TC and possibly even the towers of the relics inside could be exposed. So I don't know, the problem is that he's supposed to be the aggressor, and he's the defender right now. Once again, Hut has never beaten Vortix in a single tournament set before.
Well, it looks like that curse may remain for the moment because Vortix is on match point. It's 3-2 in this best-of-7 series, which means if he wins this game, it is all over Red Rover. And he's looking very good in this game.
He is looking really good indeed. And the thing for him here is that he doesn't need to rush anything. He's not on a timer. In fact, Abacids are more than happy to drag this out as long as possible. And for Hut, he's caught in between right now because the Burgrave Palace is no longer serving any major purpose for him. And at this point, he only has men-at-arms available against crossbows, and he will soon have to start thinking about taking an engagement over here because his buildings are about to be targeted by trebuchets.
But how do you take an engagement underneath a keep like this? Now, obviously, he doesn't have boiling oil coming through just yet, but I think he might be doing the right thing, trying to turn his enemy's attention towards the outside of the map. But you've got to remember this juicy underbelly is still ripe and open in the center, and it's going to be... Oh, I like that. The emergency repairs coming in as well as the stone upgrade.
Yeah, the fortifications coming in, and also Imperial Age on the way as well. I think he's going up to the pass of Schwabia simply because he needs to squeeze it out as soon as possible. He can't wait for more resources for the Alsbach Palace. He's at 77 wheels. He doesn't need this that much for the villager production. He just needs it about the timing. Because bombards, those could be a difference maker. Tower defense with 3 towers, all with springolds and relics inside, plus bombards take that keep down with. That could be the momentum switch, especially if those men-at-arms find a way to the back of the base of Vortix. And Vortix seems to have no idea about those, so... Oh, he scouts them.
He spots it with the scout, and the scout almost managed to make it away. But now Hut reaches the Imperial Age. Things now are going to get a little bit different. The question is, what direction does he go? You alluded to the fact he may be thinking, maybe potentially going for bombards as a way to break through this. And I think that could be a smart decision.
I think so as well. Landsknecht tech could also be a thing, especially with the Imperial Age upgrades becoming much, much more relevant. He's coming in with the imp upgrades as well, and he's gonna have to throw away those men-at-arms, but I think it's still a favorable trade for him. He's buying himself time to get something out in Imperial Age, and that is more valuable for him than the men-at-arms are. For him, pulling all these crossbows back to the base of Vortix is massive value, actually.
Yeah, it is. It really delays the push that was going to be happening on the front line, because now Hut's also got the bombard in queue. We see the emergency repairs coming through for Hut. The trebuchet. Oh my lord, the trebuchet gets off the closest shot you've ever seen. I don't know what that outpost was at, but it must have been 1.5 health.
Well, but he lives to see another day. First outpost already gone. You see the relic in the hands of those prelates out there. So new towers could easily be reinforced once again by the relic, but instead Hut has something different on his mind. He wants a defensive keep. Keep defense with the relic inside, bombard to try and take down the enemy keep. And the thing is that Vortix is caught in between. If he wants to continue to push, he needs to stay castle. But if he wants to go up, he might lose his forward.
Well, it looks like a little bit of a break in that wall's happened. Men-at-Arms moving forward. You see the Bombard unpacking. And now looking to take down the keep of his enemy. Remember that the Bombard puts out so much DPS, you can't really heal through it now that it's stone that is the cost for repairing it up. But the crossbow's moving around the edges, and insufficient stone indeed as Vortix realizes he hasn't gathered nearly enough stone.
Yeah, he's just trying to buffer this up until the spring goes right, but look at that, the men-at-arms are back in action. The crossbows lost track of them, and surprise, surprise, this is a distraction that Hut needed.
Yeah, this is looking really good for Hut. He's going to be able to clean out this keep on the front line, and with that, it should be able to open up the potential middle here. There's a lot of siege in the middle, but I tell you what, that's looking beautiful for a men-at-arms sweep.
Look at that, the men-at-arms are doing work here, and the thing is that Vortix is distracted. He can't repair the castle at the same time and also focus on his villagers. Has to keep buying stone here at an expensive price while also chasing those men-at-arms. Hut is buying himself a lot of time here to clean up this forward as he gets rid of the castle.
Double bombards out for Hut. Moving forward, he's got to watch out for these Springles that are coming in. Keep in mind the Springles are nowhere near as strong as they used to be just because of the repair rate. We'll head back over towards the center and see how they're doing as the numbers continue building up for him. Keep going to be going down. Three trebuchets more than enough.
Has to come in. Oh, it's far away.
It's on cooldown. It's on cooldown, unfortunately. Vortix still yet to move towards Imperial at this point. He's got no resources in the bank for it, and the keep is going to drop down. Relic going to have to be moved into another building, and a lot of infantry moving forward and pushing to try and take out the siege. There's Lance Connector in here.
But Mangonel's on the other side.
The Bombard's looking to fire off on the backside. The Lunch Connector not actually swinging. You guys have got to swing, and now the Mangonel gets taken out by the Springles. At the same time, the Bombard's looking to try and take out the Springles. Not going to have a lot of luck. First Bombard does go down. Second Bombard remaining. It's trying to fire off towards those Springles. Not able to one-shot them. And so many units. A good game gets called. Vortix is your victor. He heads to Heidelberg and takes out Hut in 4-2 fashion.
Vortix closes this out over here. It started shaky for him. In fact, Hut took the lead on Arabia, and then it went all the way to game number 6. Last 2 games, Vortix's experience started to pay off, and this game was also a spectacle for him. Hut played so well, and he was so close to holding this. If he had like 15 more infantry units, or maybe 1 or 2 more mangonels, it would have been enough. Maybe just 1 cover in. He was very close to holding this and then possibly snowballing the game, but the momentum was just on the side of Vortix. He was up to 95 army, and the decision to stay in castle and just go full army, punish the Imperial Age of Hut, paid out here for Vortix. As you said, he's going into Heidelberg here as the 9th participant of the $300,000 Red Bull Wololo Legacy LAN. He is going to be there, and he is going to be cheering for his brother Lucifron in the future to also make it there to Heidelberg.